All right, we are back. Let me mute down the music as well, or else you can't hear Angelo.
I mean, that's not a bad thing necessarily, you know.
I'll let other people make up their mind on that. You know, I don't have a vote in that. We were just having a little bit of chit chat beforehand. We were talking about the dangerous topic of like AI and all that stuff. We don't have to go into it, but we were basically just making fun of like, yeah, AI is always going to take our jobs, but that's also what they said about like procedural systems and modularity and whatever came before it, you know? And we're still here. So, yeah.
Just to suffer.
Just as
Nah.
Oh, you want to invite like the AI overlords in and just take your job?
No, I think I'm good. I had enough with AA bros and everything, so give me a couple of years of peace and art.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, you want to make it up to like art directors so that you don't have to make art yourself, and then they can all be replaced by like AI, right?
Oh, you got me. Nah,
hey, Lucas. Sorry, Angelo. Like Lucas in the chat is asking. I wanted you to show my portfolio. We are actually gonna go through like a couple of people that are already in the queue for quite a while. But I'm gonna send out like a little link. So let's start there. I'm gonna send a little link. So if you want to get signed up to that as well, you can follow this link here. Sorry, Angelo. What were you gonna say?
Oh, how much I love AI. I don't remember what I was saying.
Just get the real spicy takes in like the first 5 minutes of YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
before
so
everyone.
Trending.
No, I thought we were talking about NDA stuff. Come on. Do you want to share any things?
No, you first.
No? It's classified, unfortunately, so I can't really say, you know.
Oh, dang it. Well, okay, that was it, people. No, unfortunately, dude, I would love it so much. I would love it so much where, like, I don't know, let's say there's like a holiday where everyone can just talk about their NDA and we all get together and just talk about it. You know, can you imagine? That would be so
It's
cool.
like that movie where it takes place in the US. I don't remember its name, where for one day you can do any crime you want.
Oh,
but for us it would be, yeah, you can breach any NDA that you want just for one day with no consequences and repercussions.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, just a little bit less violent. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, just NDA breaches.
Sarah is saying, it's only a lawsuit, come on. Oh my god. Oh, that would be great though. So this is never gonna happen because there's just no way, and especially now that I'm gonna say it out here. But it would be so fun. Imagine like a show where like you get a developer on and they talk about their experiences and what they've worked on and what they are working on, and just have them with like a mask on and just like distort their voice and just have them in like generic clothes so that you can't recognize who it is.
See, it won't work in my case because like I'm the only lighting artist on my project, so
yeah,
it would be very easy to make out that probably just me.
Shit. You kind of just have to keep yourself generic, right? Or what you could do is maybe throw someone else under the bus, you know? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I can pretend that I'm team, yeah. I think that can work.
No, we live in the same city. We don't work together yet. Who knows? Because this industry is freaking small, man. The amount of people that I've like met and talked to and know people that I've worked with or something like that, you know, like the circle gets really small really quick.
Yeah, like you already started seeing me randomly on the streets, last I heard.
Yeah. That was yeah, that was an interesting interaction. Okay.
I was in my defense, I was helping out a fellow citizen. I was doing a good deed, you know?
No. I'll explain it from my side, you know? So, we were walking through town, and we see like this half unconscious guy like lying on the floor with like Angelo towering above him.
I was just helping out, you know?
Oh
No,
my
no
God.
comment. I don't even know the guy.
Yeah. It was yeah, we think, I mean, I just walked in, right? I think he just had like a little bit too much to drink, or like maybe a
Yeah.
sunstroke or something like that. And he was just like lying on the floor, and people were taking care of him, including Angelo as well. And then we just walked up to the scene like randomly. We were like, "Oh, hey Angelo, how's it going?" Oh my God. Oh my God. Sia saying that she can't believe that you would punch Raj like that.
I wish, yeah. He's too fast and agile.
Ah, dang. He's been working out. You need to catch up.
Yeah. Last I heard, he hurt his finger, so poor guy. He's not working out anymore.
Hey.
Yeah. So there is a chance that I'm gonna catch up to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is turning like really violent all of a sudden. I don't like this. Should we look at some portfolios then?
I can be violent there too.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. I hope that we're not gonna get too violent today, but
No.
Let's see.
I'll be nice. I promise.
where the hell did my epic pen just go? What? Just closed on me. No.
Oh, no. Not so
So,
epic anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely not epic. It just disappeared. I don't know where it went. Oh. My God. So, in the meantime, while I'm fixing that, we do have. So normally we go through like 4 portfolios, because you reached out on like LinkedIn, right? But I think
Yeah.
we went through all of them already, right?
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't like a big list anyways because I only had it up for a day.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we'll have to put it to sleep with Task Manager. Let's go.
Oh wow, so violent.
Yeah, I know.
Even beating up processes now.
We should put in Discord get well soon, Raj.
Oh yes, please do. He's gonna freak out.
Yeah, just have like a bunch of. Please do that. Like, just type in like general chat like get well soon, Raj, and just add him. You know.
I can make the beginning. It's fine. Well, team.
Oh, you're gonna start it? Okay. Michael is saying, "Oh, did I miss my review? I don't think so. We're currently working through a list. So, and these were like the couple of people that were running up. So I don't know if we missed you in that list, Michael. Let's actually have a quick check. Oh. Photo review. No, your portfolio is still coming up, so you can check out like the whole list here. You can also sign up if you're not a member of the community. If you are a member of the community, please do it through the Discord chat, because that's the way of like differentiating between the people that are live stream members or community members. So yeah, feel free to sign up here. And enough chatting. I think Epic Pen is kind of not working with.
Ooh,
it disappeared
yes.
again. What the hell?
I saw it on the stream for a second.
You saw it on? Yeah. I think it's spazzing out with my screen resolutions. So we're gonna.
It's too strong.
End it again. It's too strong. I'll just blame it on the move and everything, right? That not everything is set up. So yeah, even though nothing to do with.
Or Raz. We can blame some things on him.
That's true. Do that as well. Because if I drag it to my smaller screen, then it becomes smaller. I'm just not going to touch it anymore. What I'm going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're set up. Let's have a look at the first one here. We should probably start with the first one actually, right? So the first one that we're going to be looking at today is sorry for mispronouncing your name. Yves Cabani or Cabanier. I think it might be French. So
I cannot pronounce any French, so we'll go with yours.
I was about to just ask you to pronounce it, but we'll skip that then.
No.
Okay, cool. So let's have a quick look here. 3D props and character artist. I would honestly, this is a small nitpick already straight out of the gate, but spell out character artist completely instead of cara artist. Like it just looks a little bit weird. But cool. So doing both things. Interesting. You're from Toulouse as well. France. My major specialties are 3D props and characters. You can find an overview of my personal work. I'm eager to learn and I practice a lot on several. I'm eager to learn and I practice a lot on several softs. So feel free to give me any feedback. I'm assuming you mean software, but I'm not sure here.
Yeah, no, I think pretty sure.
Because
it's software.
I think it is software, but my first thought was actually like soft skills. But that could also be a thing, but I'm not sure. It's probably software though. So, yeah. Cool. That's pretty good. I think in terms of like the tag and the headline, right? I think just doing that little tweak, that will probably help a little bit as well. What do you think of the banner, Angelo? Banner image.
See, I'm not a very big banner guy anyways. I don't even think I even have one. So like it's interesting. Although it feels like a bit more monotonous, like you're kind of segmenting like the banner in many shots, but they're all showing the same thing. And since you already have like a couple of different portfolio pieces, maybe it would be worth just showing some more variety.
Yeah, I feel like it's very brown, and like brown is usually not like a really exciting color, right? So it doesn't really, I don't know, excite me that much when it comes to the banner itself.
Yeah, honestly, with I mean that's a personal opinion, but I'm not really a big fan of banners in the new ArtStation layout, anyways. So
yeah,
do you have any strong opinions on that? Because like they were always very clunky to work with. They had like some very weird like dimension requirements, and also if you had a slightly wider image, like not wider, like taller image, they would just take up too much space from your actual
or you would have to like do like an awkward crop or something like that.
Yeah, some super wide crop.
Yeah. I don't really mind. I think to me it's more about the content of the banner than the actual banner itself. I think if you use a banner, then make it exciting to look at, right? Like really sell yourself, because that's going to be the first thing that people see. But you can also just like not use a banner at all and just immediately go to the work as well. I think it's whenever you use something like that, I would just like make it the best thing that you have, and like just immediately like try to wow people as much as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I agree. Definitely do something more, right? Like it doesn't have to be fancy either. It could just be like a single image or something like that. Yeah. Play around with it. Is there anything that you want to jump into, Angelo?
I like the second one, the ghost one.
Ghosty boy?
Yes, looks very cute, and I love like the hand-drawn, not outlines. It's like a marker. Yeah, marker scratches. Oh, like
Yeah.
the watercolor, like text palette, text ring. Like super interesting, and it's something that you don't really see too often. Even with the background, it looks like a 2D painting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very curious to see like the breakdown as I scroll down.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
same for me as well. Like it's definitely a unique piece, right? Definitely something that you don't really see a lot on people's portfolios. It's cool. Nice little breakdown as well. Like just looking at the first image here, where you just have like a clear separation between like, hey, this is my breakdown, right? So you know that you're looking at it. And then how I got this like painted effect, and then the stuff that you use to get that effect. But that's all great, right? Like, I don't think there's any way of like oversharing like what you did. I think anything that you did to like achieve some of the effects, like it's really good to showcase that. So
yeah, even if you scroll one more to the that quick video that we've got, I think it's super interesting to see how everything works inside Substance Painter. Like I can see some of the layers, I can see how the brushes are working. And I can actually tell that like those black marks are actually hand-drawn, which is amazing.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
Thank
if anything, I would love to see like a wireframe just so I get an idea of how dense everything is, if it's game ready, for example, and maybe showcase how the background was made as well, because it looks very smooth and like very nice on the the first image. Like I can barely tell that there is a transition, for example, between the floor and the walls.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, if anything, to see how that works.
Yeah, and I think what I would change immediately is the crop on the top of the frame. Like where it cuts off like just the top of the head of the ghost.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you need to give like anything that you have in your frame, give it a little bit of space when it comes to the framing of it. Because it just looks like really awkward now. I feel like I need to scroll more up, but I'm at the top of the page.
Yeah, didn't realize.
Um yeah, I agree. This is very interesting, right? Because I think this is a showcase of like the art that you potentially love to do yourself, which I think that it should also be like very embedded within your portfolio because your portfolio is your voice, right? It does make it like a tricky project to kind of like try to relate it to like the industry in a certain way, right? Because it is because this was like mostly like a texturing exercise, which is awesome, but it's also like in a very specific style. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any relevancy. It's just a little bit more niche and specific to games that sort of go like the more stylized way. So that's just like a general advice for someone who's kind of looking to go into the industry. Like try to see what market you want to be a part of, or like what section of game studios you want to be a part of, and like try to cater your art towards it somehow. It's cool though. But I do agree. You were mentioning like the wireframe, right? I think that would be interesting to see. I'm expecting that because this is like just a texturing exercise, the wireframe is not going to look that great. But
Yeah.
that's fine, right? I think whenever you mention that, hey, this was just purely like a texturing exercise, I think you, what's the best way of saying this? Like you add a little bit of a buffer, you know? Because you say like, hey, this was just a texturing exercise, so you can kind of ignore like any wireframe or anything like that I've done.
Yeah, and I mean, for a result that took a few hours, I think that's impressive by itself. Yeah, I was
Yep.
just reading the the description when you
Oh,
mentioned
I
it.
didn't
But
even.
yeah,
Yeah. That is an
but yeah,
interesting one. Because, oh, I don't know how to feel about those things, right? Because whenever you're saying a few hours, like there's a switch that goes off in my brain and says like, oh, like why did you only spend like a few hours on this? This is your portfolio though, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Even though whenever you like put that in the description, like whenever you didn't put that in the description or you don't mention anything about it, I wouldn't even think about it that way, right? But because you mention it, then it becomes like a trigger point of like, oh, but this should be like your portfolio where you spend like a lot of time on things, you show off the best that you can do. But if you then tell me this was done in a few hours, it kind of just feels like a sketch, right?
Yeah,
How
it's
do you
like
feel about
those.
it?
I remember some drama being on Twitter a couple months ago about the quick blockouts.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, few like hours or days of blockouts, and then people showcase some incredibly detailed blockouts.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So
same
yeah,
happened
that,
with concept art as well, where they had like speed paints or quick paints or do they call them lunch crunch or something like that, where they would make like a
oh wow,
painting within an hour during lunch and it would just look like absolutely amazing. For some of them, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind though. I think
Yeah, but totally agree with what you're saying. Just yeah, I wouldn't just frame, even if it took you a couple of hours, like just having the renders and the presentation and the breakdowns and everything, it would take you a couple more hours. So
yeah.
I don't think it's worth mentioning that at the very least. Even
Yeah.
if you don't want to spend a lot of time with like a piece, that's totally fair. It's like as you're saying, it's a texturing practice, so it doesn't have to take like a whole week.
Yeah, I think it's more about like the getting into the routine where you don't like undersell yourself. Because this might be seen as like, oh, I just did that in a few hours, which might seem like very positive from your end, but it could actually also be like very negative on like the opposite end, right? For someone looking at your portfolio. So just be aware of those things. And like Angelo was saying, like if something feels like, I don't know if I should put that in there, just don't. Like it's totally fine that you just said like, hey, my goal was to realize like a mini game diorama. And in the meantime, I tried to do something new with the texturing as well. Cool. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, it could be interesting to do something more with that style potentially. I'm kind of gonna have a quick glance.
Yeah, I'm looking around the different portfolio pieces to see if we got something similar. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, there's nothing really similar, right? Because then it would be like, oh, if this is like you trying to decide like what your style is gonna be, you could then use it as like a jumping board to make like potentially more stuff in that style, or like take that style further or whatever. Yeah, let's jump into the Chesterfield.
Let's go.
Let's see. Hello, I'm proud to finally show you the hero props I've reworked during the past month. Damaged Chesterfield couch, cyberpunk vibes. Adding bits of storytelling. Huge thanks to Livio and Sammy for helping me take this further. And a shout out to us as well. Awesome.
That's the brown scene you were looking for.
Yeah. I would, especially if you're going for like something more cyberpunky, right? I feel like you can do a lot more with the lighting and kind of give it like this very futuristic kind of vibe with like a bit more intense colors, maybe? What do you think?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That would be my first point. Yeah, just blasting in there some neon lights. Even though like you don't have to model anything, just have a more interesting background perhaps. Some more like colorful hues. You I think they're kind of doing it with the chromatic aberration. If you look around the edges of the frame, all of the images, we got some very strong, chromatic aberration that kind of gives off those like RGB colors, and then like I think it would be much nicer if yeah, that those colors were pushed throughout the scene, and just to contrast it with the couch, like not dullness, but like the couch is one consistent color and it's kind of brownish. Same with the carpet or floor. Let's see, looks like just a tiling floor. So it's a nice opportunity to have some more contrasting lighting and some more, yeah, punchy lighting, should I say?
What was that word?
Punchy.
Oh,
Punch.
punchy.
Punch.
Oh, okay. My brain just didn't register what you said, and I thought you said like papanchi lighting. I was like, what is that?
It's a new term that I'm patenting. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, dude.
trademark
Like
term.
sometimes
Yeah.
you have those weird filters in Unreal, right? That have like the really funky names. I was like, oh, maybe I'm missing out on something here. You know?
Yeah, you know that Kuwahara filter that I'm using all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
My
Like, how
best
am I
friend.
supposed to like those names, man? They get so weird. Um. Yeah, no, I think definitely, right? Like spice it up a little bit, make it more interesting. I think also in terms of like the assets in the scene itself, you could just do like a lot more with like the set dressing, right? And I'm not talking about like making the stuff yourself. I think you made like a nice diorama, but I think these days I want people to like take it further and just have like a background and something else in there. Rather than just like the chair or like the sofa on like a little plane, right? You got to take it that one step further and try to sell like more world building than it comes to it. I think that you even had earlier iterations where you tried to do something like that, and it would be interesting to maybe go back and then yeah, maybe see if you can incorporate some of those like background elements into it.
How about the floor? Like I'm a bit conflicted about it because it looks like it goes forever. I don't see like an end to it, but also I don't know. I think it's the thing that bothers me most in this scene. Like I don't have any
Gotcha.
problem with the sofa being like brown and like worn off. It's supposed to be damaged, and I think it has enough of a detail to be like the centerpiece in terms of visual noise. But
Hmm.
the floor, for some reason, it's tripping me out. It's like very noisy, very granular, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. I would at the very least I would perhaps change the color just to give some breathing room in
Yeah, or
the
maybe
whole
playing
diorama.
around a little bit more with like stuff that is spilled on the carpet, right? So you could have like different colors of just like people spilling like drinks or whatever else they're gonna spill on like a carpet like this, right? Because maybe in the same vein, like you're trying to sell this like story of, hey, this is like in a very rundown, dingy apartment that is like probably owned by like a bunch of junkies looking at it, right? Like maybe not even junkies, but like people that are not in a solid state of mind, definitely. Um, and then you have like a pretty clean carpet apart from like a couple of crumbs like in it, right? I kind of want to see like the same treatment that the chair got. I kind of want to see that like translated to like the rug as well. Yeah. I think honestly the chair itself, it's looking really good. I think if there was one thing that I had to say is, you know, those like peeling or like those sections of the couch that are kind of like coming off and they're kind of peeling. If you really want to sell that effect, you kind of have to have like a little bit of geometry in there. And that's going to really sell that effect of like, you know, the leather surface like coming off of like the surface underneath it. Um because you really try to do your best, and I can tell, right? Because you have like geometric, like you can see it here in this shot specifically, where you can tell that you have like the cushion going into like the leather that's supposed to be on top of it. It's just that little bit of geometry, like just a flap of leather hanging out, that would really like
Oh
sell the whole
yes,
silhouette.
kind of like damaged wallpapers on like old Victorian houses.
Hell yeah,
Just
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Just like the peel, like you can do so much in the texture, but then if you add like a couple of cuts in there and you just peel it off like with geometry, oh my god, it looks so
Oh
good.
yeah, it's amazing. Or even with posters, like even if you like just add a couple of edge loops and like polygons in the corners just to twist them off,
Yep.
and like give them some bending and like some definition and volume. It's like
Yeah, apparently we're also talking about like Route One's apartment because he's talking about that in the
yes.
chat. So yeah, this would probably be like, I don't know, like £900 like in the UK, like this kind of
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like my previous apartment,
Oh my
based on what my mom said. I had to buy lots of new cleaning products. The whole cabinet underneath my sink is like full right now for the next decade.
Oh
I
my
guess,
God.
yeah, I can relate to that couch.
If there's one person that's gonna tell you the truth, is your mom. So yeah.
Wait, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I left the place cleaner than it was when I got it.
Well, it's also not difficult if you start at the bottom, right? Like it can only get cleaner at that point. So
Damn.
but yeah, talking about like the breakdown next then. I like the way that you've laid it out. Like it's very clean, very well presented. Like you picked a clean font. So yeah, I really like the way that you did that. The topology, final hero prop is 29,000 price, which is a lot. I'm not sure. Let's have a look.
I mean, I'll leave you to that.
Yeah.
If it's a hero prop, I don't think it's too much. Like,
it is not
why
too
not
much,
go
right?
that bad? Yeah, but yeah,
But it's just like you can definitely tell that you could like optimize certain areas because they don't really contribute anything to like the silhouette, right? So you could definitely have like pushed it lower than you have it here if this is like the retopologized version, which it's still quite dense in some areas, but it's a hero prop, right? I think when it comes to like the technical aspect of anything, it's always like a little bit of it's okay, like there's so many. Shazar is saying more like cinematic density. It kind of depends because there's so many different ways in games and so many different kinds of like use cases. So for example, what you could do, let's say if this is like the hero prop that's like really important to like a certain element in like the story, right? I don't know what that would be, but let's imagine that. That is going to mean that it's going to have like a higher density, and probably what it's going to do is it's going to just lot down like really quick. So you get like really close and everything, you can see like all the knobs and like the ripples and all that kind of stuff. And then once you get like a little bit further, like it already goes to like a way lower down like density. So there's like a lot of like levers that we have in game development to really optimize something like this if we wanted to. Depends how close the project is to realizing it won't run. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's usually when like a lot of optimization magically happens all of a sudden. But yeah. I like it. I like the presentation of it. Nice and clean. I think breakdowns are definitely good.
Maybe would be nice to have some like texture breakdowns as well, and like some material breakdowns. I mean, you did it on the Ghost project, so it would be worth to have a similar like breakdown on that sort of thing.
100%. That would be really interesting to see. Yeah, just integrating that into breakdown somewhere, where you just say like you have another one of these screenshots and you just have like the sofa, and then like I keep talking about this, like this is like the standard template, right? Where you have the prop on one side and then you have like 4 squares for like your textures, like all laid out. Make it all nice and tidy. Yeah. Really good work. I think this is also like really aligned to games, right? This is probably what you're going to be doing, or what you might end up doing a lot, is just making an asset and then also set dressing around the asset as well to make it like tell a story, right? So that's going to be like, especially for what you would assume to be like your average environment artist, there's going to be like a lot of set dressing involved in most positions these days, because the worlds are getting bigger. We need more people to set dress them as well. So definitely showcasing that you can do that is always a plus. Awesome. Let's have another look. We got some characters as well. I don't want to dive into them too much, so maybe let's have a look at the stylized tree stump.
Yes, I went ahead a bit and it's looking very nice. I really love how the sculpt breakdown looks.
Yeah. It's another one of those things in the description, like you mentioned, that, hey, finally got to show this personal
yes.
project that I've been working on for 10 days. And it's like, you don't have to mention that it's 10 days, right? Because, yeah, maybe the better way to say it is that no one's really going to be impressed by just the time that you spend on something.
Yeah, even if you said, like, I made this whole thing in one day, I don't think it's giving you any points.
I'm thinking maybe the only way why people put that in the description is to showcase that they actually can make something within like realistic production deadlines. That's maybe the only way that I can kind of see that you could make this work. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, for better or worse, for your first job, you're probably gonna end up doing an artist anyways. So the company will be able to judge if you can manage to work within their like deadlines and like production base.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're not, the way I see it, yeah, it's not giving you any points. And if anything, like the previous project, yeah, if you say, oh yeah, I did that in 3 hours, it kind of gives me, it kind of seems like you're flexing for no reason. And like, especially, and then I'm gonna be automatically the back of my mind, I might look into it a bit more critical because, oh, you said you were so proud of this and you made this in like 3 hours. Yeah. Let's see all the, like, why isn't it perfect? Why didn't you spend like 4 hours?
Yeah. The way that I sort of try to look at everything is like, what is the potential benefit to the potential like negative side of things? And I think this is like one of those cases where like the negative sides like outweigh the positive outcomes, and it's like 80 to 20% to me on this one. So it's probably better to not say anything about that, and then let it be more about like the art itself. And then, like Angelo said, they're going to be testing you on like how quick you can turn around stuff when it comes to like an art test anyway. So
yeah, or like a technical, even if you don't do an art test, like a technical interview or perhaps your first task. Most likely they're gonna ask you like, how much time do you need, more or less. Of course, they're gonna be like really not very pressing in the first couple of months, perhaps, or like first couple of tasks, depending on what you get assigned to. But you need to have an idea, anyways.
Mm-hmm. You were saying that you really like the sculpt, though.
Oh yes. I don't know. Yeah, like at some point I was doing like a work on like similar kind of style, so I have a soft spots for like stylized sculpting. Yeah, I love how clean the render is, and multiple views. I love the breakdown when it comes to like if you scroll a bit down with the wireframe and everything. Although I want to hear your thought as well on this one, but I think everything is Zuri messed from the way the topology looks. And maybe that's why the sofa was also around 30k triangles.
Well, She does mention that she uses Cozy Blanket, which is like a manual
Oh,
retopologizing
wait,
software.
easy though. Like, for example, with the tree bark and some of the vines, I don't see it following like the
Yeah,
curvature of the mesh. So that was my first.
the brambles especially, right? Like that. Whenever something is triangulated, like that's not done by you. That's done by an algorithm. That's usually my assumption.
Yeah, but I have no
Again,
idea about cozy blanket. So
yeah, I think I've never used it myself, but when I've seen it, it's like just like a retopologizing thing that you can have on your iPad, I think.
oh right, okay.
Um,
Oh, it's that one from the same person that did the Blender sculpting mode updates, I think.
oh, oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
If anyone on the chat knows, yeah, let me know because I think
Is it from
something clicked.
Sculptress?
No,
is
not
that
sculptor. It's like I think it was Pablo Dobaro or something like that. Again, if anyone
Okay.
knows, correct me if I'm wrong. But there was the person that worked on like the Blender's new sculpting mode a couple of years back.
Yeah.
After like 2.8, when they started having like those crazy updates, and then that
Yeah.
person left the Blender Institute and just started that Retopo tool. If that's the one
Oh,
I'm thinking.
that's cool though. I didn't know that. Just went off and did it
Okay.
himself. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know any of the if there was any drama behind it, but who knows? Please continue while I do some background research.
Scott is saying that's Retopoflow.
Oh no!
So Cozy Blanket is iPad. Yeah, I thought it was like an iPad thing, because they kind of wanted to make it like you can do like you can cozy up in the sofa and do like retopologizing with a blanket or something like that. That was like the whole idea behind it.
Wait, but I went to Cozy Blanket's website, and on the company it says Pablo Dobaro, so I'm pretty sure that's him.
Someone is definitely right.
Ooh, so much drama.
But yeah, talking about retopologizing, right? This is very interesting. I think it still could be interesting to showcase that you can retopologize, but for stuff like this, I think it's less important to make it all in quads necessarily, unless it needs to be animated somehow, right? So, interestingly enough, like for this diorama, it would probably have to be like the way around, so that the bramble that might be moving, right, is like nice and like quadrified, where like the rest of it doesn't really matter because it's going to be like static, right? I think it still could be like an interesting thing to show on your portfolio, but I personally wouldn't spend too much time on like retopologizing very complex things, for example.
I mean, if it's like a portfolio piece you want to showcase that you can do retopo, so to an extent might be important. And from my experience, at least with those kind of like complicated organic shapes, it usually is more trouble to like do a zero measure or like an automatic retopo and then like clean it up than just doing it like by yourself from scratch.
Yeah, for sure.
So like for example, that sign, you know, it could be like a couple of polygons, like let's say 40 or 50. Let's say 100 triangles just to get all of the like curves and all that detail. You definitely don't need 1200 triangles.
Yeah, I think you're right. So what you said in there, I think whenever you're showing a wireframe, the wireframe needs to look good and consistent, right? I don't think it's nice to look at like a triangulated mess of things and then show it off in your portfolio. Then it's probably better to leave it on, to leave it off of your portfolio. So yeah, if you're retopologizing by hand, definitely show it off if you're doing that step.
And
you can push it lower.
Same with UVs, I'd say. I remember you having a podcast at some point and talking about that, and
yep. I think that's the thing, right? Like
that was many years ago.
You it's just a podcast flashback. Oh my god. Yeah, but like the general rule is like you should show as much as possible, right? And try to make everything that you do show as good as possible.
Yeah.
Like what you have the choice in is what you decide to show off. So, for example, if you're making like a small diorama and you know that you did like one of the props like really quickly to just get it in there, don't show that prop, right? Just pick another one that is like nicely retopologized, that has like nice textures, has like a nice breakdown. So yeah, like present the stuff that is worth presenting, and then the stuff that you kind of rushed, like try to keep that like just off the portfolio. Because let's be realistic, like there's productions that are gonna work like that in the same way, where stuff gets tied to deadlines, a lot of stuff needs to go out, and there's gonna be some shortcuts that have to be made for sure.
I definitely remember zero messing characters at some point for a mobile game, so who am I to judge?
We've all taken shortcuts. Oh my god. Will you have time for some extra reviews? No, we just do like the 3 today, and then we'll we are like, now that I'm finally settled, we're kind of thinking about like adding more reviews. But that will be revealed like once we got that all set up. Dun-dun. But Route 1 is saying, I love the breakdowns, they're very unique. I do agree. Like, it's also really well presented. Like, thought actually went into again, the fonts used, the presentations, the background, all that kind of stuff, right? I can see that you did research and actually wanted to have it in like an in-world presentation so that it makes sense. And that is awesome. Like, keep thinking about that stuff, because that's going to separate you from other people that don't do it, right?
Yeah, totally.
So,
I
yeah,
love this.
very, very well done. I think the last thing that I'll say is it might be like a more personal thing, but I want to see like more vibrant backgrounds. I want to see like I don't know, more vibrancy coming into the scenes. I feel like all the scenes, they have like really magical creatures, and they should be like really happy and friendly, but then the background kind of makes it all like dark and gloomy, you know? So let's say with the ghost I can kind of see that working, but for this guy I kind of want to have like vibrancy and just like, yeah, add colors in there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, trying to phrase that in my mind. Yeah, seems like a consistent thing. So yeah, we totally would like maybe some less saturated colors. I don't know if that comes from like the texture. Do we have like the textures here on the breakdown? I don't think so.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, we got one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the textures themselves are fine. They're not too saturated, so maybe it's down to lighting and like the background being so dark and kind of saturated as well with that blue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it's obscuring things. Maybe it would be worth to just try very bright background, like a studio lighting setup, just to have a baseline, and then slowly like tone down the intensity, and then start going with the key light, and then that, like some rim lighting as well to separate the environment, like the diorama, from the background and things like that. I don't think like right now I don't see any rim lighting, so it's kind of blending in with the dark background, and it's making everything, as you said, look very gloomy and very not scary, but yeah, not as cute as you'd expect it to be for such a like a magical stamp.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, also, it's gonna have the added benefit of popping out more between like all the rest of the pieces that are on ArtStation. So that's like a nice benefit too. Obviously, it has. I do want to say that you should never sacrifice the art just to have more clicks on your portfolio, it's never worth it. Like if this is like your style and you're trying to like define what your style is, like this dark, gloomy contrast with like something that's like, I don't know, maybe it's like magical creatures that are trying to survive in like this very dark, depressing world, right? There could be something interesting there, and maybe you're still fleshing that out, but then that's not the vibe that I'm getting at the moment, um, at least. And let's then jump back to like the main portfolio. Like the other stuff is like characters. I don't know if you want to dive into it. I think we probably talked about like a bunch of the environment stuff already. Plus, we're also more environment art focused, so probably not too much that we can really add there. What I do want to bring up in context to that, let me actually have a quick look when this character was made.
I see last year. Yeah.
See.
Yeah, so it seems like all the characters are fairly old. So I don't think it would be too much beneficial for us to go to too much detail.
Yeah, and also like the thing that I was gonna bring up is when you're trying to do props and characters, like those are like two completely separate things, and I would just pick one and like focus on that one. It seems that currently you're trying to go more into props. If that is the thing that you like more than characters, and also like the art itself, right, seems like more finished and more like better executed than like the characters that I can just see from the thumbnails right now. I think if that is your choice, go for it, right? And like really specialize into one thing, because otherwise you're just gonna split your time between two things, and that's gonna be very chaotic. Because it's basically gonna mean that you're gonna take twice as long at least to get good at either of them. So yeah.
Although one minor thing that I noticed, like the last two characters are from a commercial project, apparently. So I think it's worth to keep them. Like I wouldn't say, even if you wanna switch to props or like slowly move away from characters, if it's like a professional project that you finished, I think it's would worth have some value still.
Oh, I see. So like the okay, I see.
Yeah, because if you go to her about page, there is some work experience. So that makes me think I didn't do it like a deep dive, but I assume these are from an actual project that was shipped at some point.
Yeah, it does have like a name attached to it as well. So this was made for the beat 'em up Fulgore. I think this might be, I'm just making an assumption here, like a student project. But like you said, that still has value, right? Where you can show that like, hey, I worked together with a team, and I was just responsible for this aspect of it. I would definitely keep it on just for that.
Or even combine them. If it's just those two characters, maybe just have one post of them. Just to tidy things up.
Could do. Yeah. I think honestly what I would do in this case is just leave them there, continue working on new stuff, and at a certain point just like phase them out over time.
Yeah.
Right. Cool though. Like quickly scrolling through it, like the Edge Runner character, again, really well done breakdowns, right? Just in context breakdowns always work really well. Shows that you really care about the thing that you're trying to sell. So yeah, great stuff here. Let's maybe do like a little bit of a recap. So what are the things that we want to leave for Eve?
I'm not sure if just the banner would be 1 point, but like everything, yeah. Maybe in terms of presentation, we could say like some clarity. Like for this off, it was like the brownie aesthetic. For like the stamp, it was like the dark.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, very tricky to sum up.
Yeah, I think visual clarity or something like that, right? Or just going with more like vibrancy to kind of make it less boring than it looks like. I know that boring is probably like too harsh of a word, but
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say
that's
boring, but yeah, it's.
it's you can make this, especially the couch, right? If you just focus on that one, if you can just make that like really interesting when it comes to adding like a couple of different lights, adding like a Megascans background, all that kind of stuff, and really sell that it is part of a bigger thing. It's gonna make it stand out compared to what it is now, because it is, if you look at the thumbnails by themselves, they don't really inspire me to click on them, right? It's not really pulling me in that much. So yeah, maybe let's call it like visual clarity. Visual clarity and vibrancy.
Oh yes, vibrancy.
And for the second one, yeah, I think the biggest thing is decide what you want to be. Or like what you want to focus on. Because I feel like when you say to someone like decide what you want to be, it feels like it's eternal, right? Like you're stuck with that for life.
Yeah, you're not married to that. So
Exactly. Like usually to give like additional context as well, is the reason why we say so is that because that fast tracks you getting into the industry, right? And then once you're in the industry and you're building up like working experience within it, like that's when you can like deviate and like try to, I don't know, go back to your roots, maybe pick up a couple of characters, do all the fun stuff on the side, right? But then you're building up actual work experience within a company.
and yeah, the track record and everything. So it's gonna be so much easier to just do anything afterwards.
Yeah. Exactly. Plus, you also have like a bunch of resources, right? If you're working in a company and they have a character artist and you
Oh
want to do
yeah,
some
yeah,
characters on the side, you can just talk to them, right?
yeah.
That's
Just buy them
awesome.
some coffee, and you can
Yep.
you can waste their lunchtime and do some lunch crunch.
Lunch crunch. There's some quick sketches on lunch. And then the last
Proceeds to
thing.
make a whole game.
But, yeah, an MMO. What do we think about the last thing?
Maybe like I love the breakdowns, but
Yeah.
maybe some more consistency on what they show. Like some of them had like some missing parts, some others were like more complete. Like at some they were missing like textures, others had like a nicer wireframe view and like sculpt view. So yeah, as you said, like the in context breakdowns are like great. So definitely keep that.
Yeah.
So just just make sure that you are showcasing everything that you want to showcase.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think honestly, it's gonna sound silly, but like those breakdowns and the way that you presented them are probably the highlight for me. Just because it shows that you are willing to take like the little bits of extra time to really present it well, especially when that is usually the part when people give up on a project, right? Because the art is done, now the presentation, and it usually is where people just get like, ugh, I just want to get it on our station and get it over with, right? But no, you actually take the time to actually present it really well. So yeah, big shout out for doing that, because that's definitely gonna pay off. Awesome.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff. Best of luck. I'm not sure if you're looking right now for work. See?
Oh, I see Eve in the chat just now.
Oh, hello, Eve. It's really encouraging. Thank you a lot for all your reviews. That's awesome. It means
Oh
a
no.
lot. I'm laid off in January, sadly. Ah, shit. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, best of luck on the job hunt. And also, if you're doing any personal projects and you want like a second opinion, like every Wednesday, I'm available, right? So make sure to make use of that as well.
During lunchtime, Tim?
Lunchtime. Oh, God. You imagine
No?
I just
Okay.
bring in my setup to work just to do like some streams.
Just book of a meeting room, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
important stuff.
yeah. Leonardo's saying before sending it on ArtStation, start another one and keep it on hold for a couple of days to get back to it and fix it. That actually could work. It just depends what kind of person you are, right? Because I think some people will also just be like so enamored with like, oh, I want to start on this new thing, so I'm working on this new thing now, and I'm not looking at the old thing anymore. But if that works, yeah, definitely taking just a break or doing something else for a couple of days and then going back and doing a presentation. That's really nice to kind of get like a cleansing the palette, right? Thank you very much. It's character, so I don't know if that's okay beyond extent. Oh, okay, interesting. Huh. So I think that comes back to the question that we had today, right? Like if you want to do characters or if you want to do props. Because it seems like to me like the latest projects were more towards the prop side, but if you are deciding to go for characters instead, I'll make a note because there is someone that I can send you to maybe get some extra help. I'll make like a mental note, and if I forget about it and I don't message you, like leave me a message on Discord. Okay, am I available 9 a.m.? No, I'm at work.
Just send him a message. He'll reply.
Please, sir. Please reply to my message. Yeah. Thanks again so much, Eve. Best of luck on the job hunt. Yeah, and if there's anything that we can help with, just let me know. Raj, get out of here. Get out. Are you available at 6 a.m. in that case? No. But you aren't either, sir. I can guarantee that. Oh no, maybe. No, Angelo, when does he go to the gym? Tell me.
Definitely not at 6 a.m. It opens at 6:30.
Oh, see? Okay. Yeah. Route 1 is saying, hope you're feeling better. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. No worries. Have a lovely evening. Who said I'm sick? Oh, dude, you got beat up by Angelo. That's what happened. We saw you this week.
Wait. That's a completely new narrative that I'm hearing now.
Yeah. This is like the new book that's gonna come out. I'm making the Hobbit version of the Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, moving on. We've got Dennis here. Dennis is a 3D level / environment artist from Warsaw in Poland. And he does realistic level / environment art, works with Blender, Maya, and Unreal. All the stuff that you would expect. So, awesome. We have no banner, so there's already like additional points from Angelo on this one.
Yeah, see? It's nice and clean.
It does look better, right? In terms of like having your art like directly on display, like your portfolio. I feel like, yeah, maybe you're slowly convincing me, even though I still have a banner myself. But hey,
Although I think they changed that recently as well. Wasn't there a default banner, even with the new layout?
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's been some time since I've been on ArtStation, so they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
change it every month or so.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's just you go on it and it's like, oh, it changed again. Great.
Yeah.
No, let's have a look. I'm not gonna start with the first one because I have seen that one a lot, and I kind of want to keep that one for last. And
Oh,
Angelo
okay.
can have his opinion on it. I want to start with like the last one from last year as well.
All right. Ooh, some typical sci-fi corridors.
Yeah. Opal. Yeah.
A modular kit. See some props.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, those are floaters. Okay. Second. Okay.
see, I'm way out of my depth in terms of sci-fi and like how like the mid-poly workflows and all those things work. So you can have a essay on those.
Yeah. I mean, I've
In
never worked with them myself, right? But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna focus on the first image, which is the only like full environment image that we got. So
Mhm.
first of all, maybe it would be worth like since you went out your way to make the whole environment and you have a modular kit, just try to extend it as much as possible and like like sell the size of the environment and like the scale. Right now it looks like just tight turn, even though you have assets. It's not very clear for me like where I should be focused on. Like what's the point of interest in this scene? Like we have on one side that like bright yellow room, but also on the other side we have like some very strong red lights that are not necessarily pointing somewhere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what's really interesting? We have a perfect example. Because if you look on the screen, well, on the stream itself, you have like the mini thumbnail of what it was based on as a reference. And that actually does a
Oh.
really good way of like focusing like the attention to like a certain area of the picture already, right? If we open it up,
Oh right, yeah. I completely missed the description. Yeah.
oh, is ArtStation gonna annoy me now? Come on.
Told you, man. It's the banners.
It's the yeah, they take ages to load. That's why you don't have a banner.
Yeah. It's my
Okay,
secret to
well,
get a job.
well, I guess this is not loading then. Great, thanks. Oh no, here we go. Okay, so you can kind of see the comparison now, right? Where there's a clear, like Raj is saying in the chat as well, like there's a clear area that people are supposed to be looking at, right? Which is part of our jobs as like a level artist and environment artist to make sure that we know where the person is going to be looking and what we want to stand out, what we want to make stand out in the environment. There's a clear focus to the right, and then you kind of have like this nice spilling out of like light coming from that one area, which then lights up the rest of the
Yeah,
scene.
and you don't have any other lights, at least very strong lights that are distracting from that area. So there's clear, yeah, like direction to where the viewers should watch first. And
Exactly, and I think that's also
oh,
like what you can see here, right? Like you kind of can do that with the same sort of lights if you just balance them in like a different way, like dimming down like most of the really bright red stuff, like increasing maybe like the light on the right so that becomes like a little bit more strong, and then you would have like the same sort of balance that you have in your art, in your concept art as well. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
yeah, and also in terms of composition, I mean, of course, there is a slight difference. You cannot like copy it one to one because that one is a 3D scene as well. I like the idea of the foreground railing that you have. Like that's a nice addition. But if you see the reference that you followed, more of that room is visible. Like a lot more of that room is visible. While in your case, half of it is visible because you have that wall extended forward. So that's
Yeah.
yet another reason why my eyes, like even if the lighting was much closer to the reference, that would mean that yeah, there is a reason that you abstract that, and perhaps that's why you don't want me to look at that area. So yeah, you got like both lighting and composition fighting that focus area at the moment.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Yeah. This is also from last year, right? I think in the meantime, there have been like a lot of improvements made. Leonardo is also saying like you have, what's the name of it again?
Tangents. Yeah.
So where stuff like this happens, right? Where like one thing like slightly touches another thing, that's really weird for like our brain to like comprehend. So try to avoid that as much as you can.
Yeah,
Also
I get the
whenever
nightmares, you know.
tangent nightmares.
I took a very nice photo for us with some tangents in the background mountains, you know. See that every night. I need to stop picking up on Raz. Sorry.
But yeah, that's a great point. Like tangents, like you can, once you start paying attention to them, you're probably gonna see them everywhere. For example, where things like disappear, like where like certain things align like at the frame or something like that. It's always like really awkward too. But yeah, I think also one other thing is it is like an older project, right? And you can definitely tell by just the attention to detail that is like really lacking in this one, because it doesn't really have that same sort of like the same sort of shape variation that you would expect from if we were to look at the artwork here again. Right? You have some like really big shapes, you have some medium shapes, and you have like smaller detailed shapes. Where like the shapes that you are using, like they kind of just all like flow together. There's no like hierarchy of shapes. Not the way that it's here, right? And also surface definition, where you have like a bright strip of metal around like the window, and then the rest of the wall is like black, like all that kind of stuff to kind of highlight that there's like material separation. Yeah, that can definitely be taken into account. But yeah, enough about that. Let's have a look at the next item then. That one's to load. There we go. An alarm panel from 8 months ago. It's interesting, right? Because we can kind of see a transition from like sci-fi big stuff to sci-fi small stuff, and it allows you to like work out the shapes way better as you could otherwise do when it comes to like a big environment.
And I'd say the quality overall, like both in terms of geometry and material definition, I think it's like a very big improvement.
Yeah, 100%. And also the balance between shapes, right? There's like a couple of like areas that are like doesn't really have like anything going on geometry wise, and then you have like certain areas where there is something going on, and there's kind of like a pleasant balance to the elements. I think honestly, like again, it's all about the context, right? As like environmental storytellers, having this potentially maybe even in your previous scene, but just has like a detail shot, right? Would have been like awesome to see, where it's not just like an alarm panel on like a flat white plane. Doesn't really add anything to it, right? Like, what is this alarm panel from? Like, what escaped, right? Like, who pulled the lever? Like, all that kind of stuff. You can do so much more with it than just what you're trying to do now.
Also, another thing I noticed on the description is like this is based on a tutorial. Have you seen that exact lever before? Like,
not this one.
Okay, so
let's have a look. Yeah.
Oh, it's fairly close.
Yeah, it seems to be like almost 1-to-1, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there's some changes.
Yeah, in that case though, I would say, yeah, just try to give your own spin to the tutorial. Find like
Yeah.
some reference, like find a similar looking design or something like that. Apply the same workflows and the same technical skills that you learned from the tutorial. Just, yeah, I would try to avoid making something that's so similar to the tutorial.
Yeah,
Comes back down
100%.
to that military radio tutorial that everyone was making a couple years
Yeah.
back.
It is really good that you mention it though, because I think if you do mention it and you say like, "Hey, it was based on this tutorial," like no one is really gonna hold it against you, even
Oh
though
yeah,
it doesn't really add like anything necessary to the portfolio, right? Um, and I can kind of see that you try to add your own spin on it, but it's not enough to differentiate it from the original tutorial. So like Angelo said, just take something else, right? That is like something like a piece of hardware and just apply the same sort of like um things that you learn from the tutorial on that new thing then.
or like
Yeah.
you can make that, like you already made that. So maybe now would be a nice opportunity to take the next step and like do something of your own with the same style perhaps, or like the same techniques, same workflows, just to practice it even more and see that incremental improvement.
And also, I'm gonna pose an interesting question. Like, how would you improve upon the tutorial? Think about that as a question. It's not to you, right? Like to the person that we're looking at. The who is it? Like Dennis? It's more like that sort of thinking is what makes you an artist, right? It's like, oh, I followed this tutorial, but I can do this with it then, right? What you do with it afterwards is where you can kind of give your own spin on things. So there's nothing wrong with following tutorials. There's, in my opinion, nothing really wrong with even posting them on your portfolio. I just don't think they add anything, but it's also not like a negative thing to have them on there. It's kind of like a neutral thing, at least to me. But yeah, like what really would take it further is, let's say we would go to like the next page and it then shows like something completely different where I can see that you took the lessons that you learned here and you applied them in your own way. That would be awesome to see. But you decided to switch it up to something medieval, so let's have a look.
Were you the influence, Tim?
Oh god.
Are you inspiring the next generation of medieval artists? Like we moved from sci-fi corridors, now it's all medieval.
Yeah. Oh my god. Just all these medievalists like coming out of the woodwork being like, "Yeah, it's back." Should we? So Lamp Snow is asking, should we mention that my work was created by following a tutorial? Yes.
Yeah,
Always mention if you follow a tutorial, because this is something that we discussed last time, and this is an actual situation. So there was a person that came into an interview, and we were going through the interview process, and there was one thing on their portfolio that looked really good, but then we decided to dig a little bit deeper, and I started asking them like, "Hey, is this based on a tutorial?" And they were adamant that it was not, but it was like a really highly successful tutorial that did it almost like exactly the same way. And you don't want to get into that situation where you might be getting a job, but that is a thing that is used against you. So always make it really clear, be really transparent about that stuff, and avoid those awkward situations, please. Angelo, Dennis actually finished his scene. What? That's true.
It was
actually.
a good roast.
That is true, actually. So, he could sue me. Damn.
It's okay. No, he can't sue you if you don't ever finish that scene, which looks like that's the case, right?
That's true. That's true. So now I don't have a reason to finish it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Lamstone was asking another question. If I made some changes to make it look different from the tutorial, should I still mention that it was originally based on that tutorial too? So this is where it gets really tricky. right? Because there is no straight answer to this. I think you should, but there is obviously like a point where you shouldn't anymore. But where that point is, you kind of have to figure out for yourself. Um, because I mean, it's no secret. Like me and Angelo still use tutorials from time to time too, but we don't put like all the tutorials. Oh my god, can you imagine all the tutorials that you would use like in every ArtStation post? That would be
Uh,
nuts.
yeah,
But if
like
it's like
because
good,
oh yeah, like let's say you're making something that's a bit bigger in terms of scale, and you took like a tutorial on how to make a certain shader in Unreal. If you're making, you might be making a prop, right? So you watched one tutorial to check the mid poly workflow, for example. You found another tutorial on the texturing part. You followed another one for like the presentation and like lighting, perhaps. So like
yeah,
at that point, you gathered so many different sources where like you're not actually following any of them one to one because it's your own thing. But yeah, as Tim said, it's like it's a gray line to where you put the line and when you draw the line actually. And yeah, if it looks like on the thumbnail, let's say, if it looks close to what the tutorial has made, maybe definitely mention that. Or like worst case, just mention the name of the creator. Like let's say I got inspired by that, or like, and you do. And like don't mention that you followed that tutorial. Maybe you got inspired by that tutorial or like that person, or like that movie or whatever.
yeah. I think that's a good shout. Just it never hurts. Like if like one artist was like a big inspiration to you, it never hurts to then give them a shout out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Dennis is also like promising that he won't sue me whenever I finish it. Can we get that in writing? Can we get that on paper?
It's on the chat. I think it counts as writing, right? Just take a screenshot.
Oh, screenshot and send that to my lawyers. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for the advice. That's really helpful. No worries. Feel free to ask any questions as always. We'll kind of weave them into the whole thing. Then coming back to Dennis's portfolio for the last piece that we're going to be looking at. What do you think of it, Angelo?
Let's see. I like the warmth of it and the colors. Let me see. It's Witcher 3 inspired. See? Yeah. Like I haven't played The Witcher 3. I mean, I played the tutorial, but I don't have like a very clear idea on how exactly it looks. But yeah, we got the reference at the bottom, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, the first thing that stands out to me in terms of lighting is like I really love how in the reference we got some nice cool shadows. So like it probably is the grading and like how the skylight is set up in your environment. So with those very saturated highlights, which are like oranges and like very warm, we get a very nice contrast with those cool shadows and like that blue fog that's totally missing on your environment. So honestly, I love these. Like I can tell we got some environmental storytelling. I can tell like we have a nice, interesting background and like a nice path, and like everything is fairly clear. But I would like that extra punch on the lighting and like the color grading.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just like looking at the colors, right? There's like a nice differentiation between the two. Yeah. I will say though, like I scrolled all the way down and I was like, oh, is this like an earlier version? Like just in terms of like the quality of the assets and like the way that everything is laid out and the grass and all that stuff. I was like, oh, doesn't look as great. And then I just realized that it was a reference and I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, you're comparing like, is it a 10-year-old game now? It's been some time.
Yeah,
So
it's been
I
a
guess they
while.
had to work out with some very harsh limitations at the time.
Yeah, but that's also like just a testament, right, to like how good it is. That you can take something as inspiration and turn it into something like better, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. Nice couple of presentations. I think what we talked about today, look at Eve's presentation, or Evie, and look at like the way that she presented like her breakdowns, because those were like really well done. I'm trying to take them like a step further, and then also give us something more than the trim sheet here, right? Like give us wireframes, give us like the texture breakdowns. Well, maybe for this one, because it's a trim sheet, you don't need like a texture breakdown, because that's gonna look hella ugly when we're doing like the UVs. That's gonna be chaos. But yeah, definitely having like sort of a wireframe and like really break down like all the things that you deem like necessary to like be transparent on how you created it, right?
I mean, definitely, like I can see some assets that would be very interesting to see how they're broken down. Let's say the trees, the foliage, even the hero assets. I mean, as you said, the wireframes would not be the most beautiful, but like if you made those trees yourself, let's see, do we have any extra info? Yeah, no, to improve my skills in scene creation and the creation of assets and vegetation. So yeah, you went out of your way to create your own custom trees and like foliage, and it's looking very nice. So why not showcase that and like showcase how you made it?
Yep, 100%. 100%. Yeah, but like if we go back to like the main portfolio, right, and the stuff that we looked at today, massive, and I mean massive improvements already, right?
Oh, definitely.
Especially between the two environments. I know that environments are always like a really big undertaking, so just awesome work on getting that last one done. Yeah, clear progression track. Like you're definitely making like massive improvements. I would say keep that up. And maybe listen to some of the tweaks that Angelo suggested to make, right? Because I don't think they're gonna be that intensive to implement, but it can definitely elevate your work to like the next level, especially like what's the project name actually called? Like the medieval cart. Just having that color contrast is gonna make it like pop out so much more. It's gonna make it so much more vibrant. So yeah, I would definitely have a look at like implementing that for sure. That's like a quick win. I think overall, also like I like the thumbnail, the second one. I think it's like a nice thumbnail for like what you decided to show
very
off.
very intriguing.
Exactly. Like
it
very,
urges you to click that just to see the full thing.
Yeah, let me pull the trigger, you know, like this is something that we talked about a lot of times before. I think this one is the logo of Unreal Engine is like obscuring the environment. I think this is ridiculous, honestly, like when it comes to like having a logo on your project, because I can't see the project because of the stupid logo now, right?
Yep.
So I would not use these things anymore. Like just Unreal Engine logos. They don't have to be on thumbnails anymore. Let's move away from that, please.
Yeah, don't look at me like I don't like logos at all, unless it's a like commercial project and you want to showcase that. Oh yeah, I worked on that game or that project.
Yeah. Just
that's for
honestly
consistency's
like
sake, and not for other reasons.
Honestly, the only reason why I would use them. How about the first, like putting the logo in the corner? I would not do it. Like, really ask yourself what that logo is adding to the thumbnail. Like, ask yourself that question. And if you can't answer that question, then it doesn't need to be there. It's kind of as simple as that. And I'll keep bringing this up, right? But like in the beginning, when Unreal Engine 5 came out, like it was really impressive what people were doing with Unreal Engine 5. That's why people were putting like Unreal Engine logos on their thumbnails, because the stuff that they were doing was so crazy that people didn't think that it was an Unreal Engine 5 render. But now, I don't know, we're like how many years in Unreal Engine 5? There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened. We're not really seeing that many crazy things anymore. Especially not enough where it warrants you to put like a logo on it. Like, and like Raj is saying in the chat as well, I feel like the logos on thumbnails just cheapens the art. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's just, it's not a good practice anymore. I had to do a pass on my portfolio too, just to get rid of them because it looked so silly. So I was definitely doing it too, right? But yeah, it's time to evolve, guys. Come on. Yeah, but
And
I think this was
I'm
like a
getting.
pretty. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I know I'm getting very dark. Let me turn on some lights. Sorry, guys. We're still working on the lighting setup.
Oh, dude, and this is coming from a lighting artist. How can this...
See, wait.
Wow,
Do you
look
have
at that.
variable lights though? Oh,
Yeah, I do.
Look at that double. Oh, actually work.
Look at this. You've picked a spot that works. Like you got the rim lighting going on. Nice.
Got the cool lighting on the other side.
Oh my god, such nerds. Where is Angelo's 3-light setup though?
Oh wait,
I mean-
wait. Let me turn on the flashlight. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you need to.
Oh yeah, some good
Oh.
rim lighting, you know, with
Oh my
the.
god. Raj is saying you're missing some bounce light.
See, I had an office light right next to me, but it like when I turned it on, it was too strong. So like I had it bounce through the wall, and it was nice, but then you would see the reflection on the frame. So like, I have some limitations I need to work around with. Yeah, the struggle is real.
Real life struggles. You can't just like delete like the frame, you know?
No, it's aesthetic.
Yeah, just have like a floating point light in the middle of your room. Oh, how nice it would be.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. There's some questions in the chat. So David was asking, how can I create like wheel tracks in Unreal? There's a couple of ways. Dennis made them with like normal map decals. There is a tool that I can say that for you to look into, and it's landscape splines. They're really useful for this kind of stuff. So have a look into like Unreal Engine's like landscape spline system, because that's really powerful for this kind of stuff. Statty is also asking. Go ahead.
You could potentially also do it depending on the distance with like some decals. Worst case scenario, like I've definitely done some like bike tracks with decals. Although yeah, if you get up close, you want the actual geometry to be deforming.
Yeah, it kind of depends on like the depth of like what you want to have and all that kind of stuff, right? In most things, you can just get away with like a normal map decal, unless you get like really up close to it. Statty is asking, how much focus should I be putting on optimizing my assets for my portfolio? There's a difference between game assets and portfolio assets, right? Oh god, that is a very good question. There should be, but there isn't. Is the real answer. I feel like what you see on ArtStation is always way above like what is usually done in games. So, for example, when you see people making like a little hammer and it has like a 4K texture and it looks really nice and jazzy, you know, it has like all the things that you would expect from real life. That never happens in games unless it is a game that is all about hammers for some reason, you know? But
and
yeah,
you need
like,
to hammer in on the quality of that hammer.
Oh god, I can't. I mean, to be fair, like that's where I was going as well. Like, I think you should just like hammer in on the quality and yeah, just really only focus on that, because not only focus on it, I think there needs to be a balance there somewhere, right? But I think definitely the prioritization needs to be, it needs to look nice and then optimize it without sacrificing most of the visual quality, right? The balance just usually comes from like if you have a ton of geometry that doesn't add to the silhouette of the object, then you know that you can remove it. if also the same for texture quality as well, if you have a 4K texture and you down res to 2K and you see absolutely no difference on the object, then it doesn't make sense to use a 4K. You can just use a 2K. So try to keep it in mind, especially when it comes to breaking down the assets, right? You need to show that you can also do the technical part behind the scenes to make things look beautiful as well. Yeah.
So you're saying you need to nail the balance of those things.
Yes.
Okay, I'll stop now.
I'm such a bad audience for that, man. I can't deal with it.
No, that's the reaction I'm expecting, so it's okay. Like, I'm sure the chat enjoys it, so that's all I need.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. But back to Dennis's portfolio. So we were talking about the thumbnails, right? I think the logos can definitely go. I think once you make like the color adjustments for like the last project, you have the thumbnail as well. Like that's gonna look like way better too. So maybe what would be the recap then for Dennis?
It's tricky because I don't have many things to say that we didn't mention already in terms of the environments, right? Like there was a huge improvement between the two, so not the recap part, but maybe the advice like just keep at it and okay, now let's go to the recap first.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's also like
it's
the
like
big improvement is always a part of it, right? And I think keeping it up, and then after a point, like also removing the older work, like finding like a natural point where like you can phase it out as well. That could be.
Yeah, I feel like at this point it's the content that's the problem. Like you got one very old environment that I wouldn't really keep, but at this point it would be a bit empty if you removed like the last two projects, right?
Yeah.
Like not necessarily saying that I would remove the tutorial one because you put your own spin to it and you already mentioned that you follow the tutorial, so that's fine, as we said.
Yeah. And also the presentation is nice and it is like a high quality asset.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I think that one is good. I would still say the last environment, it's not about quantity, right? It's always about quality. Because you never know, like if a recruiter comes by and they're like, oh, this doesn't look that great anymore compared to the most recent work, like what happened here, and they don't even look at like the date, right? You don't want to put yourself in a position where they might not continue with you just based on that simple accident that might happen, right? So I would say like remove all the work and keep at it. Move old stuff. The thing that I wanted to bring up as well is just like the breakdowns, right? Like being more transparent with the stuff that you do, having the wireframes on there, maybe showcasing like if you did a sculpt for the trim sheet, like how did you do that? If you did it with Substance Designer, how did you do that? Kind of just like shining a light a little bit more on like the actual behind the scenes.
Oh, and I have something for the third one. Maybe like try to start finding a way to not exploit, to use your environments to like get more screenshots out of it, like different angles. You're already creating the environment, and I noticed that in like both the environments that you have. Find smart ways to scale those environments just so they worked in multiple angles, because that's also a very useful skill in a like game production, right? Usually if you're an environment artist, I mean, you already know what camera the game is gonna have, so like might be third person, might be top down, so you know what kind of angles that environment should work with, right? So especially if it's a first person game, the environment basically has to work around every possible angle that the camera might get. So try to get on with that mindset and having a bit more functional environments just so you can get different shots and like have a couple of compositions and not just focus on one. It's definitely helpful in the beginning to just focus on one and like make it as good as possible, because you don't have to go crazy with the scale and everything. But
Yeah.
I think you're at a nice point, where you can start worrying about that too.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout, and kind of in this same sort of line, I would say also keep doing what you did with your last project and start from like an inspiration point and try to recreate it or something like that. Because that's honestly like a shortcut of making like more environments quicker, where you don't have to do like a lot of like the world building and all that kind of stuff yourself. So using a foundation that's already there to start from and make your own environments on top of. I think that's a great shout. So yeah. So look, Dennis.
Yeah.
Keep it
good
up.
Stuff. Looking forward to seeing new environments.
Hell yeah. I don't know if you're working on something else. I haven't seen you. Well, I haven't seen you on Whip Wednesday. It doesn't mean that you're not working on it. I haven't been keeping track of like all the other stuff that got posted. But yeah. Looking forward to it regardless.
But you're saying
Also-
you're not following what everyone on that community is doing? Like every exact member?
Hold up. I'm moving. Jesus.
6 a.m. That's what you're doing. I know.
Yeah. I got notifications set up, so it wakes me up in the middle of the night, you know? Cool. Last one for today is Justin Colombini, a student at Escape Studios and environment artist. Okay. Oh, this is another debate that I don't think we've had yet. What do you feel like putting student in your headline?
Ooh.
I remember that was like a
yeah.
whole debate at a certain point, right? I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, if you're still studying, you indicate that. Like, I would keep it personally. But depends on your situation. Like, are you actively looking for work right now, or are you studying? If you are still studying full time, I don't think I would mind, because that means that you're not sending like applications. But as soon as you send applications, I would definitely not have the student in the title. I think that's how I'm looking into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think over time I kind of flip-flop between, because I feel like if you put student, like it just like downsells like what you can bring to the table, right? But also at a certain point, like they know that people that are trying to get into the industry are students, so you saying that you're a student is not really gonna devalue it. So I don't think it matters anymore. Like you said, if you're still a student, like just that you're a student. If you're looking for a full-time job, maybe, and you graduated, all that kind of stuff, maybe it's time to get rid of the student badge. I honestly, the way that I now look at it is like, if I see student and environment artist in there, like it's not gonna be like a negative thing if you have a student like name in there. It's just like, okay, it's a student, so they're just starting their track, you know? It's not like it's gonna like downplay like any of your skills or any of your anything you bring to the table.
Although, to play devil's advocate, I will say that for smaller studios, they might not have like seniority titles, so like they might not have junior or like mid-level artists. So maybe you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot and not getting like the best offer, even if you get a job, just because they know you're like a student. Of course, you're gonna mention that in the interview and everything, but yeah, I would say try to sell yourself under the best way you can. So if you're, as you say, like in the description, Justin has that he's currently looking for a position as a junior environment artist, let's say you're an environment artist. And I would even like remove the Escape Studios part.
Yeah. Justin is asking in the chat, like, better to call myself a graduate? I've already finished my studies. I would not do that. I would then just simply call yourself an environment artist. Just keep it super simple.
I wouldn't
And
use
then,
junior or anything, but because you haven't technically earned the title, you're not working as a junior environment artist somewhere. But if you have just a
yeah.
plain environment artist, you're not leaving anyone guessing, and it's pretty clear what you're aiming for.
Yeah, and also like you explain like a bunch more stuff in the description as well, right? That you're at Escape Studios in London, seeking to become an environment artist, all that kind of stuff. Just keep the stuff up here like really simple. Keep it to environment artist. That should be good enough. To come back to your devil's advocate like argument, right? It's so tricky because I do agree with you. Like this is why I'm flip-flopping, right? Like over time, there's like a point of time where I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. You should never like downplay your skills, like what you can bring to the table, like ever. But then also, I don't think like anyone has ever tripped up, like when you call yourself a student. I feel like it becomes really important. For example, when you have been in the industry for like 1 or 2 years, let's say you're a junior, and then you're moving to like the next studio. Because then what you should do ideally is go for a mid title rather than for a junior title. And then calling yourself a junior can actually play as a disadvantage. So I would probably not do it then. Or not bring it up in like the interviews that you're a junior, like actively or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, as a student, I think it's that important because if they do their due diligence, they look at your resume and you don't have work experience. Like to me, it doesn't matter if you're a junior, a student, or that you're self-taught or whatever, right? You're basically the start of the journey. And then obviously you have to negotiate your salary as such, but that's a different topic. All right, cool. Let's have a look at the actual work. So let's see, there's something more in the description. Maybe let's go to the about page as well. We should actually do this next time. Have a look at like people's resume as well. So that it's like we kind of do like a little bit of a check there too.
See, although I'm sure it's gonna be a bit spicy the first time around, and then I'm gonna keep repeating myself because in terms of CVs and resumes, I'm very basic, and like there's basically two schools of thought: like make it as unique as you can, but also functional, and like spend lots of time on it. And I'm on the opposite side of things. I literally have a Google Docs template, and I've used that throughout my career for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. And I know
And it has
people
worked
on
for
both
me,
sides
so
of the spectrum that have jobs.
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting, yeah.
We can have a look, but
let's do it next time, right? And let's
okay.
kind of build it into like the sequence.
Yeah, would be fun.
Let's have a look. So, oh, okay, I see. So portfolio just adds like the one more thing from like Escape Studios, and then environment art.
No, actually, I think portfolio that doesn't have the Escape Studios thingy like the last one. It's just that art session is bugged.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is so confusing.
Yes, I noticed that earlier with browsing through some albums.
This is breaking my brain. Okay, so portfolio. Wait, doesn't have it.
Yeah, portfolio doesn't have it. Environment art has it.
Yeah.
But if you go quickly through them, they kind of bug out.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So that means that you're kind of indicating that you don't want people to necessarily see this old work anymore. So fair enough. Then we'll just base it on what we can see here, right? Any preference where we want to start, Angelo?
With the older, just so we can see the progression, perhaps. Yeah, the module 2.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Ooh, I like the colors. I like the vibrancy of everything.
Yeah. Very
See, what
interesting
are your
color
thoughts
choice.
on the video, because it's already 20 seconds and I feel tired.
This is the thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
with video.
with videos, like it needs to be super snappy because no one is going to be looking at the whole thing ever, especially if they're looking at your portfolio for like recruitment purposes. I think I'll be honest, like the only time when I really look at someone's video is because they've made such a thing that is out of this world that I'm like just stunned by how they made it, right? And then I'll watch a video. But otherwise, I probably don't watch it. I think honestly, it is not bad to have a video, right? Like you can
Yeah.
have stuff moving in it, but just make it like really short and snappy and focus on like the most important things in your environment. Maybe the main image, a couple of detail shots, that's it. But I don't want like a sequence of like um let's see, this is like just like a whole lot of detail shots
And
where
like
I just kind of want to look at like the main thing and then maybe one or two detail shots, like very short, like 10 seconds, and then that's good. Maybe 10 to 20 seconds, maybe.
And I think the thing that threw me off in this one is like we got some very abrupt camera movements that go very fast, and I kind of felt a bit nauseating. We got some flickering like around 13 seconds. We got like some with the glass thingies.
Yeah.
And then at
Sure.
19 we have like some very close-up shots where I see like that the text resolution isn't quite on par.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, like if you made it for a diorama like distance. Yeah, it would
Yeah.
make sense that you wouldn't want to go that close anyways.
I think that's interesting, right? Because if you don't make something for that camera distance, then you shouldn't be making the
Yeah,
camera
showcasing that.
distance like showcase it that way, right? Yeah. It's still interesting color choice. I feel like it's, if we look at the whole image, like it is pretty uniform though. Like I feel like all the intensity of all the light sources and like all the things that we were supposed to be looking at, like there's not one thing where you're like, hey, this is the main focal point, and then we have like the secondary layer of like interesting things that we can look at. Everything sort of has like the same intensity.
Same like a visual noise level. So like there's no areas of rest for me to just take a breather and then just go and see the next area.
Exactly. Yeah, everything is super dense, like you said. Yeah, same with the texturing here as well, right? Where everything is just like, it has like the same sort of noise consistently throughout like the whole texture, where with any surface or any asset really, you kind of want to think about like the hierarchy of shapes, right? So you have like your big chunks, your medium chunks, and then like some small details, but you don't want to have that all over the place because that doesn't look good, like at all. Let's see. This is like a titleable that you extracted from like an AO texture and then edited it in Photoshop, and
I'm very confused as to why you started off with an AO texture.
Yeah. It might be part of an exercise though. But
I mean, yeah.
Don't know what kind of an exercise that would be because it doesn't feel realistic. I can't remember like a single moment when someone was like, hey, we need a full texture, here's an AO. You know?
Here's AO, yeah.
Interesting enough.
Yeah, but I don't know, something went wrong with that texture because it looks like a PS3, PS2, like, oh, I discovered bump mapping. I don't want to sound harsh, but it's like a bit noisy, and I'm very confused.
That's what you get.
What I'm seeing,
right? Like that's what you get whenever you just have like an input map and you're trying to extract as much detail from it as possible without doing like a lot of editing on top of it,
Yeah.
Because like let's say you get like an AO map and you want to turn that into like a normal map, you can do that, but it's gonna be like really noisy, really surfacey because it can't distinguish between like high frequency and low frequency detail at that level. So yeah, very limited in terms of like the stuff that you can do with it.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got the texture through Pixel Megascans.
Yeah.
Not sure if you just use the AO texture or just the base color texture. That's where I'm a bit confused. But if you're using Megascans, might as well just use the whole package that they're providing.
Yep.
And like save you the trouble. Or like take that styling texture and then just do some adjustments as you wish. Like no reason to just have that base color and then use that to, or like an AO to generate the rest of the maps, because you're definitely gonna lose quality.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just having a look at it again, right? Because I think what they tried to do here is they got an AO texture, then they edited it to make it like a height texture, and then use that to generate geometry, to then use it with nanite.
That looks like a very complicated way to achieve
Especially
something unnecessary.
because Quixel already comes with height maps anyway.
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't wanna put it on them though, like on Justin, because might have been just what the module asked for.
Yeah, that's true. But it's
just looks a bit complicated workflow for no reason.
yeah, it is. So let's focus again on like the bigger picture then, right?
Yeah.
Maybe also nanite as part of like the actual assignment is also not the best kind of assignment. Because nanite in general is still only used by like the studios that have like access to an Unreal.
Yeah.
And also,
and even then, like very few projects, even if they're
yeah,
using UE5.
yeah,
So,
there's like not that many that have successfully shipped with them and Lumen on top of it. There are examples now though, but if you look at like the wider market, right, like that's still a little bit.
it's not a skill that you necessarily need to showcase at this point. Maybe in 2 years' time,
Yeah.
but
I think it's again like Escape Studios like saying that like, hey, this is one thing because there's like a whole wall of text here, right? This model allowed me the chance to showcase my work to developers from Creative Assembly. Specifications for this project requires that all the models are of high quality to optimize this. Oh, sorry. My brain just had a brain fart. So to optimize this, I baked high poly meshes over low poly meshes. Okay. Fair enough. There's like a lot of text in the description though. I try to like summarize that a little bit because same with the video, right? No one's really gonna take the time to read this. Try to condense it down.
And also you can definitely use that text, like have that on the breaker down, like in a very like clear and like readable way.
Yeah.
Or like a blog post. I think you already have you have ArtStation Pro, so definitely might be worth to just have a breakdown post of your environment.
Yeah. Justin is mentioning in the chat, I didn't have a height map or displacement map, so I grabbed an AO to edit. I was overthinking it at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
It does have that feeling a little bit. I think also 10 months ago, the overall environment itself doesn't look too bad, right? Apart from like the things that we already mentioned, where there's no like focal point, where everything is just like really noisy, all that kind of stuff. But I think where it gets really confusing is just like this picture especially, right? With the breakdown and then having to like figure this out. I can kind of see what you're trying to do there. But I think this is one of the cases where you're highlighting something that is not really an example of how things should be done. So think about that whenever you're having another look at your portfolio, if this project might be on the chopping block or maybe rearrange the post a little bit. I don't know how you want to do that.
And also, one quick tip would be you can use the normal map to generate a height map, which is much more accurate.
Yeah.
You can do that in Designer, maybe inside Unreal even, but I wouldn't suggest that. I think for the best accuracy, yeah, probably through Designer. And then you can generate, from the height map, you can actually generate an ambient occlusion texture and everything else. But then it just becomes, oh, let's just make a procedural material texture.
Yeah, cool though. I like the way that you do the breakdowns, right? Like there's a lot of content here. I think you can optimize the way that you share that content, right? So for example, it would be really nice where if we're looking at this image right here, where you have your material instance and you're showcasing how it's used in the environment, have just like a little video, right? Like 30 seconds where you're just playing around with the instances and you're just like showcasing what it can do. Doesn't need to be super fancy, but just like think about the way that you're portraying all the information and what is the best way to show that to people.
Or even yet have like that prop as part of the environment, and then just have the material instance on the side, play around with the values and the parameters, showcase that in the actual environment. Yeah. Because like right now it feels a bit, oh, I took those screenshots, I put a blue background, and then I call it a day. So.
Yep.
Not necessarily bad, but it feels like, it's like you could improve it a bit. And like be a bit more descriptive inside the image instead of like having those small subtitles at the bottom. Which many people might not read, including me.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I know. It's one of those annoying things where it's like, it is a tool, but I feel like you're kind of
people are
working
not
around
using it. Yeah.
Well, this is a tricky thing, right? You're trying to anticipate what like a person on the other end is gonna do when they look at your portfolio, and sometimes that is really hard to estimate because I didn't know that when I was a student. You know, it's only once I started looking at it from the other side, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. So it's tricky. Trying to know something that you don't know. Coleman White is saying you could use the height map to input into ZBrush and subdivide it to get a higher density height map and use it to displace for nanite. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like once you get a height map, that's fine. It's just trying to extract like the height map from an AO is always going to be tricky because you're going to be deforming the information in some sort of way. But yeah, I mean, also like Justin said, I was overthinking it at the time. It's also like 10 months ago, right? Probably learned a bunch of stuff in the meantime. Let's have a look at the next thing then. So, audio. I think that's also like, oh no, it's not. That's the ArtStation challenge.
Ooh, very nice. Yeah, I love that you took part and like you finished the environment. That shows a lot of determination and how you can nicely work within deadlines. And from what I can see, like scrolling through the images, like a bunch of work and like so many unique assets. So like, great job. I remember that specific concept because I was considering joining at the time, and I'm like, that scale.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Right? It looks really nice. It is also suffering from the same thing that we mentioned before, where there's a lot happening. There's a lot of like visual intensity going on, right? Where I don't know how far or how close it is to the concept, but if that is something you see in a concept, you kind of have to find ways to like control that amount of like visual intensity. Because if you look at it from this angle, for example, this is like the first static image that comes up. There's a lot of stuff happening, right? And like all the layers, there's no like separation between the layers whatsoever. So everything is just like in your face all the time, and it's all kind of like trying to fight for your attention, and nothing is really standing out like immediately. So yeah, there are some shots where it's like you're kind of getting hints of it here, right? Where you have like a beautiful, like well lit, because you get that like nice like roughness variation on the floor. That looks like freaking awesome. But then I don't know what the hell that like structure on the left is. It almost feels like I kind of want to just cut this scene in half, you know, and just preserve like the nice part and just have like, yeah, that nice little section there, because that works like really well. Like you nailed that section.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's like you say, I feel like it's still an improvement compared to the previous environment. I can see some parts, as you say, that are a bit more clear and like there is visual clarity. But yes, I think it mainly comes down to the colors. Like I feel like you still have a lot of contrast between them, and you have like a lot of spots that are very saturated, and some very like contrasting shapes as well. So, like you have the foliage on one way, then you have like some nice curved surfaces, especially on the floor. Usually, one second, I'm just going through, scrolling up and down, just to find examples. And then yeah, let's say you have the big pagoda structure, which is nicely done and it's not very distracting, but then you just cover it through like very noisy foliage that could have been a lot more subtle. And then you also have like that force field. I don't remember if that's part of the concept, but it's also like, so like let's say you have the blues of the pagoda structure, then you have those reds, and then you add the greens, and then on the other side it's also kind of not translucent, like iridescence. So like there's basically every color in the color palette that you could use. So that
it is a tricky concept to execute on, though. Like I think
it is.
I think that's usually the case with like an ArtStation challenge, right? A lot of people pick like the top voted ones, or like the ones that are like in the top 10. But sometimes like it's so hard to execute on them and do them well. Whereas sometimes like the ones in the middle, that's where the real gems are, because you have like a lot more creative freedom when it comes to them. But yeah. I mean, also, like, I just want to say, and I think you brought it up in the beginning, like, it's still a challenge, right? Like, this is, I think, is it 1 month or 2 months? I can't remember. I think it's 1, right?
I think it's 1, yeah. Like,
yeah,
super
and that's
impressive.
Nuts. Yeah, that's nuts. I just want to say that, right? Because I participated in a couple ones, like, in the beginning, and it's not easy. I was doing, like, a full-time job, coming home, and then doing, like, a couple of hours after work just to get, like, this challenge done. It is nuts, the amount of time that you have to spend on making something that looks like even half decent. And I feel like there are areas like this one, for example, like stunning, right? You nailed the look and feel of this area. It's just, yeah, the time restrictions, you know, they kind of force you into like making like quick choices where, yeah, potentially you had to just focus on like a couple of areas, make them really pretty, and then just like kind of just
yeah. Oh shit, I have to finish
stuff.
everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you scroll almost all the way to the end, we have the concept. So just looking at it, I'd say, yeah, like.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see the lighting is a lot more subtle and like a lot of more like washed out. We got lots of fog and like clear separation in terms of layers. So like you could definitely add some fog cards here and there, just based on the camera angles that you picked, just to separate those elements, and yeah, just tone down those colors.
Because
like you can see the.
Sorry, you mentioned it before, right? Where you kind of have like a lot of colors going on, and it's like pretty chaotic. I don't think it's only like the colors, right? It's also the shapes as well, and especially now seeing the concept art. I'm gonna pick like one area, right? So you see these banisters on the left. Because there's like so many of them, it makes everything like really chaotic. And it adds like a really detailed, like repetitive shape to like the whole environment. Whereas if you look to the concept, like they deliberately put them closer together so that it becomes more of a single shape rather than like
Yeah.
all these shapes that are like individual columns. And those, sometimes you kind of just really try to imagine what the concept artist was thinking and try to like replicate the steps that they were doing just to see why those shapes are the way that they are, and like how they use like volumes and how they drive your eye to like certain areas. That's tricky though. It's not easy. Yeah. I think also there is a lot here. I would actually have a look at like condensing all this information and just pick a couple of shots and pick the best ones. Because there is a lot in here, and there's a couple ones where I'm like, man, this is so easy to like not showcase. Like I don't think this one is really interesting compared to some of the other ones, right? Just being like really selective with the work that you put on display is also a skill in itself that is going to be picked up by people looking at your portfolio as well.
Yeah, like we seen the opposite, like with just not Justin's, Dennis' portfolio. Like he had one shot for its environment, which honestly it can work if it's a very good environment. But maybe we can. Yeah, the ideal would be somewhere in between, like maybe three angles that you're very proud of, and you can focus your attention to those and make them as good as possible. And you don't have to showcase, especially like you have a couple of them that showcase the same thing through a different angle, and I don't think that's adding anything in your case.
Yep.
So like I feel like you spread yourself way too thin with those shots.
Yep.
And maybe as well, like since we got so many assets, maybe it would be worth to have like a breakdown post that would be separate to this one, just so you have enough space to showcase, go into a bit more depth on how like those assets are made, like so some wireframes, some textures. If you like texture packed any of them, which is looks very possible, maybe showcase that you can, you're familiar with that workflow as well. Trim seats, I cannot really tell right here, but might be some trim seats. But I feel very lost, like scrolling through all those images, and I'm sure that they're gonna get lost if someone's reviewing your portfolio.
I think we also had like a talk about this because like me and Justin had like a mentorship because they won like the team challenge, right? Or like they were like definitely in the top 3. Can't remember the actual one. My brain is scrambled today, but we actually talked about this, right? Like the conveying of information in like an effective way is what needs to happen here. And even if we put this to like a separate breakdown post, like it doesn't matter, because it's still gonna be like a massive amount of information that is not going to be conveyed in like a clear way. And I think this one is like a perfect example. I've got no idea what we're looking here, even if like I read like the text here, right? Like it's very confusing. So thinking about it from a way where, or maybe you could even like test this with people, right? Like have a couple of breakdown shots, show them to your friends, and don't give them any context, and like ask them if they know what the hell's going on. And if they don't, then you have to do a better job of conveying like the information. Because it should all be, I mean, you heard us say it, right? Like we're probably not the greatest at like reading the small bits of text. So the more visual you get, the better it is for conveying all that information. Yeah. It is cool though. Like again, massive amount of work that you put in, massive amount of time. Take like a week or two extra to really think about like how you're gonna present it and like find like again we had a good example today from Eve, right? Like her presentations were like really good. Have a look at her breakdowns. Have a look at like the earlier section where we talked about it too. Lots of interesting stuff that you can get from it too. Cool. We have one more project, right? Like that's the Beyond Extent challenge. I'm just gonna let you take a look at it because I'm really familiar with this one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen them around. So like I really like this one. Like I love the subtlety of the lighting, especially like the second and third shot. It's like, feel like the visual clarity problem is solved. But again, I don't know like what Justin's contribution in this one was. So like, let me just have a look. Yeah.
Key responsibility within the team was material and texture artist, setting up and troubleshooting our master materials in Unreal Engine, as well as creating tiling and trim sheets for to be used in Substance Designer. So
yeah, I mean, the fact that I don't have any like immediate feedback and nothing stands out as wrong to me in terms of like materials and textures in the whole scene, it's like, yeah, just like testament to itself. Like I really love how consistent and like not similar, just consistent that everything looks. Like from the metals in the hammer and the chains to the cloth, the like the rocks and the like the stone elements. I think everything is like very well done. And yeah, let me scroll through like even the low poly assets, the weapons, like they have a very nice consistent feel to them. It would easily be like it gives me God of War vibes, and I could easily see that scene being part of the game. So I think that's very nicely done. Let's see, we got some lava materials. I'm just scrolling up now to see if it's very visible. With this one, yeah, I'd say it would be nice if it was animated. There is a short video in the beginning, but I don't see too much movement on the lava. Maybe it would be nice. I mean, that's also if you really want to show some advanced materials. Maybe it would be nice to implement some flow map functionality. Just actually make that lava moving.
Yeah.
And then also like play around. I mean, that probably wouldn't be his responsibility, but also like sync up with the lighting, the person who's doing the lighting, just so you have some light flickering, like those yellow hues. So like if you can fake that the lava is moving with the material and like have that extra like noise on the just flickering on the light on that yellow spot in the bones. Yeah, maybe it would be a nice opportunity to just enhance that the feel of the scene.
Yep. Yeah, I was also just looking at like the texture breakdowns. I love this little presentation where you just have like the cart and like a bunch of weapons like to the left, and then just flicking through like the texture maps.
And it's also inside the scene itself, so
yeah,
very nice contextual.
Yeah, very very well presented. I think if you wanted to really take it further, like you would want to have like maybe the assets themselves also flicking through, like just the asset themselves like flicking through like the display modes, right? But then you have to like do some like green screen stuff where you like separate it from the background and then like have it flicker through and like all that kind of stuff. But I think that could be worth it. The only thing that really like strikes me as like being odd with some of these breakdowns is like the geometry. I'm assuming that it's nanite, because I can't really think about like another reason why you would have so much geometry on like
they look tessellated. So.
Yeah, like I was really looking at them and just like there's a lot of geo for like really flat surfaces, so I have no clue.
But also kind of looks a bit low poly in the like that arch region. like you're not
Yeah,
really
that's the
taking
weird thing,
advantage of that
right?
topology.
So it feels like you said, right? It feels like tessellated, where it's just like, hey, we have this base geo, we're gonna tessellate it, and then oh, just add it for vertex paint? That is way too dense for vertex paint. Like, if you need to go that dense for vertex paint, you need to do shader work rather than geometry. There
Yeah,
are
just
great examples from like The Last of Us 2, I think, where they showcase like the buildings and like how dense like their vertex painted buildings are, and it's definitely not as dense as you would expect. Like, I'm not even kidding that like what you would need is probably going to be pretty much aligned with the geo that you had already. Like, you would, yeah, probably have something like this, because you have like a lot of geometry coming from the bevels and all that stuff too, right? So there is like a lot of base geometry to work with. And at that point, it's more about like having a texture that you use to like hide blend or something like that. Like,
yeah, just
it's
overlaid with the vertex paint.
exactly, it's not about like the actual vertex paint at that point. It's more about like what you do with the shader work on top of it. So definitely have a look at that then, because that makes a huge difference, right? Because if I didn't know this context and I'm a recruiter looking at your, well, I'm an artist looking at your portfolio, this would really confuse me, because I would assume it's nanite, and if it's not, then it makes even less sense. I'm just being straight up here, right? Yeah. I think some
Oh,
of
and
the
also
renders of the materials. Oh, sorry, Angelo.
now,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, it's one nitpick. Like one of the renders, like the Beyond Extend logo is a bit squeezed.
I saw that. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna say
Oh,
anything, but yeah,
it
it
triggers
pains
me
me
so
too.
much.
It's not only one. It's like a whole bunch
Oh
of
no.
them. I think all the top ones.
Oh no. Oh no. Right to jail. No.
Ooh.
We. I mean, it
Yeah. If
like I
you
might be making me. I might make fun of it, but for me personally, it makes a big difference because it showcases that
yeah
like you have that attention to detail or
yeah
not. So I would definitely go back to fix those.
100%.
Even though it's like such a silly thing, like it shouldn't matter to be honest. But we're artists,
I
so
I feel like honestly, like the easier to fix, the more that I want to see it. That makes sense.
yes,
Like,
makes total sense.
if you like scaled something down and you squished it and you don't notice it, then I'm just like, look, that's just like you forgot to press the wrong button, and like you would most likely see that. So yeah, I don't think it's a silly thing. I think that's honestly like the thing that differentiates like someone's attention to detail to someone that doesn't have it. Like, when they really pay attention to like, hey, how do I present this? What kind of font do I use? How big is the font gonna be? Like, how much is it like away from like the edge? Like, is it clipping with something? Is it like all that kind of stuff matters, right? Because also you gotta see the bigger perspective that you're surrounded by like a sea of artists that are in the same boat as you. And this is not to create anxiety, right? Because the same thing happened even before ArtStation as well. It was just less visible. But there were like a ton of people trying to get in, and the way that you differentiate yourself is paying attention to those details. So yeah, it is important.
Totally.
Even though we were just talking about like a squished like a logo, right? This can apply to like a bunch of other stuff too. Yeah, but cool stuff though. I think you can definitely condense the post again, right? Where you have like some of your materials and give them the same treatment as your asset that you have, right? Where you have them like maybe on like material spheres, like in the actual environment, and then you just have them like flip through like all the materials that you made. Just some tips there to like really like elevate the presentation again. I think it's should we have our first ban? Not sure. Like we're seeing someone
See, I mean, Yeah. See, I have permissions now to like put user in timeout. So just say the word, I
Comic
accidentally just
Sans.
left clicked and
Oh,
yeah.
if you, man, I was gonna make a bet. I feel like I'm gonna lose that instantly. I was gonna say if you can like integrate Comic Sans into like a portfolio piece in a tasteful manner.
Oh, that's a win for me. I appreciate a good meme. I would laugh, and it would give I would win points in my books.
Yeah. But I feel like winning points is not enough, right? I was gonna make an actual bet where I would give like a person like I don't know a free hot dog.
Oh, you're going that far.
Going that far, a free hot dog. um, oh god, Comic Sans. Oh, hurts me so much. To go back to it though, I think let's do like a little high level recap, right? And then to maybe round things out. I think we focused a lot on the environment art, and from what I can see, a lot of the things that we said about the presentation can be transferred to some of the material art as well. Just having a quick look at the thumbnails, like some of the other do. But yeah.
And also, since you're aiming for environment art position, it's cool to have like to showcase that you have like no materials and like you know how to do some VFX stuff. We haven't covered those, but I'm not sure. Like, I want your opinion on that. Like, would you think like they belong here? Don't they complicate things? Maybe it would be nice to have them in a blog post.
So this is where it gets like even trickier, because Justin technically gave us another link that links to like his own portfolio, right? And again, this is a situation where I hate going to other people's like personal website, because ArtStation made it so easy for me to have a consistent overview of all the work. But that also means that we have to do it justice and kind of have a look at the link itself.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think he only had the portfolio folder stuff.
Yeah. Because this is the thing, right? Like whenever you go on his actual website, you can see that it's only presenting the stuff that we had a look at today. So kind of taking that into account, I think that's actually the way that he wants to present himself, and I think that's actually a good way of presenting yourself too. And then people that do dig further, they can see that like, oh, on his normal ArtStation he has like materials and VFX and
Yeah, he knows a bunch of extra stuff, so yeah, that's good.
yeah. It's interesting because like you said, you kind of want to showcase that you can do that stuff. And I feel like, let me actually have a look. Okay, it's in the skills section. I don't think that's enough usually. But then I would kind of struggle to put it on your main portfolio.
Yeah,
Or maybe
because
as like a separate thing again, but I don't know how that
you
works.
don't really wanna like show any like that you're conflicted between like doing environments and VFX. So yeah, I do respect that. Yeah.
Because definitely the way that we're looking at it now on like just his normal ArtStation portfolio is not the way that other people are going to see it, right? So yeah. I think it brings up a good point though. I would try to find a way where you can showcase that you still can do materials and VFX on your main portfolio, like on this one right here, without it being distracting for someone that's landing on this page. And I don't know what the tools are. It's been ages since I used like the ArtStation Pro, so I got no clue what you have available to you. But I don't want you to not show them, like not show those skills either, because those could be valuable to someone trying to hire you, that you also have skills in material art and VFX and all that stuff. So something to think about for sure. Okay, ready for the recap? What are we gonna do here?
I think the first one, like the main thing for me would be like some visual clarity. I think we touched on that for like the first two environments, so I think it's a big point.
Like defining a focal point.
And focal point and areas of rest, and how noisy the values and contrast. I think that all those things. Yeah, it's
how do you write hierarchy?
HIE.
I'm just gonna hierarchy. Okay, forgive my spelling. So visual hierarchy. So silly. Yeah, but you were saying so like.
Yeah, it's like one point that I want to bring up, but I totally got distracted. Maybe it would be nice to try like desaturating your image and checking your values and contrast. See, like looking at whether everything's visible on a grayscale, on a black and white version of your composition. Yeah. So yeah, that's where visual hierarchy is most important.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's a great tip. There's a bunch of tips like that, right? Where people told me about like a hotkey that you can use in Windows where it turns everything to grayscale. And you just have it on like a Windows hotkey, and you can just like flip between like color and grayscale. It's pretty cool.
My good sir, let me know when you find out that hotkey. That sounds very interesting.
I forgot about it. I'll look at the last stream that I did, and then it's gonna be in there somewhere. So
I think like there is a very nice hotkey in PureRef that you can do that, but I didn't know about the Windows thing.
Yeah. Apparently, when it comes to like really technical stuff, it's not like accurate, if you know what I mean. It doesn't do like a good job of like converting all the values to like tonal values. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
fair.
Too nerdy for me. Yeah, I totally agree. Like just a visual hierarchy of things, right? Like making sure that like everything is readable and like clear, that you have like a well-defined focal point. Definitely gonna score the most points with that. I think also when it comes to the presentation breakdown, just like improving how you present things and what the content is gonna be. So yeah, breakdown content and amount as well. Then what would we say the third one would be? I think honestly, like those two are like probably like the most important ones. And they're like pretty big ones.
Yeah, I mean, then perhaps like the focus, because like for the last challenge, like you focused on materials and texturing, and I know that you have some materials that are not part of your portfolio. Maybe if that's something that you wanna like specialize, even though like let's say you're still an environment artist, but you can have a focus on material and like texture creation. Maybe find a way to showcase that.
That is actually really interesting that you bring that up, because during our talk that we had, this was brought up as well, that quite unsure like how to what to specialize in specifically, because he focused a lot on like the technical aspects during the team challenge, and people were really praising him for that as well. So he was kind of debating if that should be like a thing that he focuses on more or less. So yeah,
that's choice that Justin has to make.
Yep, percent. Yeah, and I think it brings up a point that we brought up before, right? Where like you're never locked into one thing. So you could pursue, like let's say you could pursue environment art now. And then once you get a job, like you could then branch out into like the more technical aspects and like explore, I don't know, whatever you want to explore within the technical realm.
And it can start as easily as like whenever there's like a material task that someone has to do, you just raise your hand and say, "Oh, can I try that?"
Yep.
That's usually how it starts, and then you just getting you just get assigned the same things over and over, and then you can see for yourself if you actually enjoy that part, because there's many differences on how you make things for a portfolio and how things are made for a production. Yeah.
100%. So also, I'll give another example from my career, right? Like when I was at Frontier, I did a personal project that was all around foliage, and that gave me the opportunity to work in the foliage team, because they picked up on that and they were like, "Oh, we really need one on the team. Were you interested?" Blah blah blah, and it kind of gave me like the opportunity to transition towards that team as well. So just as like a highlight, that you're never really like limited in the thing that you started out with. There's always going to be opportunities, and there's always things that you can kind of pivot into as well. So yeah, don't treat it as like the final thing if you decide to pursue one thing or the other, right? That's all we have to say on that. Apparently Megval does know the combination, or I'm assuming that he knows the combination to turn your windows into like black and white, but he's only willing to say it for like 50% of the Beyond Extend stock. So I guess I'll have to draft up like a contract for Megval.
Yeah.
We can negotiate that after the stream.
You're keeping your lawyers busy today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it plural? Like, do you have
dial.
many lawyers? Just curious.
Oh, that was for the Comic Sans reward. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's another 50%.
Yeah. He's just gunning for like the whole stock. No, I think he wants like a hot dog and like 50% of the stock. So, or might be more worth to go for the hot dog, to be honest. But hey, so let my lawyers decide on that. Package deal, 90% for both.
Free real estate.
Real estate. Nord says, I set mine to like Windows key plus end. But that's not the normal one then, right? Because if you mention that you set it to that. But
is that part of the accessibility settings perhaps?
Could be. I would assume so, right? Yeah.
I have Power Toys too, which has some nice functionality, but
fancy.
Oh, it's from Windows. So.
I knew someone was gonna say it, and of course it's gonna be Raj. Isn't it Control Alt F4, by the way? It's not just Alt F4.
No, don't try it now. Please. You're in the stream.
Dude, like, I grew up on the internet. Like, come on. Like, I used to play like MMOs like my entire day. Like the amount of shit that people would pull. Oh my god. But this is the issue, right? So Nord is coming in, and he might be like actually telling the truth, but I'm afraid to do it now because we're actually running the stream. So I don't know if Windows key plus end actually fixes it or not. But
yeah.
Oh no, it's actually gonna do it.
No.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I think that's gonna be it for tonight. We're gonna be signing off here. We actually went way longer than anticipated, so we need to do something about that and be like a little bit more consistent. But
we need to have a timer or like 2 timers for every like portfolio. Just have like the.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can divide like how much time we want to spend in each one, and then like have 3 minutes for the recap, and then just go by the clock. Have like some very menacing and like frightening sound effects when we go over time.
Oh, dude, that would be sick. I'm actually on board with that. You know, like make it super stressful for us, but like really fun to watch.
Yeah, you know, we can have a loading bar that just shortens, like just a countdown.
Oh. Yeah. And then once it's done, it mutes us. Like, no chance to talk anymore.
Oh, wow.
That kind of reminds me of like the 1 minute portfolio review that I did for Raj.
Oh wow.
We actually did that once. And it was surprisingly like useful, I think. I actually wanted to give like really good advice. So I just crammed a lot into like 1 minute. It was nuts. But yeah, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry about it. Alright, cool. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks so much for chilling out, asking all the good questions. Yeah, normally we do this like a week earlier, but obviously because I needed to move for whatever reason, like we had to shift it a week. So the next session is actually going to be, let's have a quick look. When is the next session going to be?
Oh, let's have a look. Yeah.
Can you tell me, because I'm locked into?
I assume the 4th of June. Like the
Okay.
first Tuesday of June.
Yep. That sounds good. It's always the first Tuesday anyway, so whatever the first is, the first Tuesday, we should be good. So we'll be seeing everybody then. In the background, we're gonna try and see if we can make like more portfolio reviews happen. Me and Angelo have talked about it already. It will be good if we can finally set that up. But again, because this guy had to move for some reason, we haven't done that yet. But yeah, we'll figure it out and we'll let everybody know. So thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks again for joining me, Angelo. It was lovely to have you.
Yeah, lovely
And
to have you too as always. Oh wait, lovely to be here. That's what I'm supposed to say, right?
can I get a close up of that painting?
I'll post it. Yeah, I'll post a photo of it on Beyond Extend.
Okay,
In like 2 minutes.
exclusive photograph coming in Beyond Extend.
It's gonna be
Hammer
far away, just so it's copyright safe, you know.
Oh yeah. Right, cool. Thanks everybody. We'll catch you all later. Bye bye.
Yeah.